Alright, so this is going to be a video for absolute beginners. You are just barely getting over the fear of starting to grow a plant for food. This is the kind of video where you don't need a lot of different materials. There's no list of things you need. The only thing you're going to need is a container, dirt, seeds. That's it. And time. So this is for real beginners. Now, if you have no outdoor space, you can do this in a windowsill. If you're renting, you can do this and put it outside on your patio, your porch, a windowsill. If you have a yard, you can do this and do a bunch of these and grow them in a row in your yard without even having to dig or do anything else. And if you kill these, you can plant another one. This is low tension, low stakes beginning gardening. We're going to grow tomato and basil. We're going to grow it in a container. What I have here, this is a 5-gallon fabric pot. You can get these really cheap, or you can use a 5-gallon bucket with a few holes poked in the bottom so it can drain. Any kind of 5-gallon bucket. You can take a feed bag, a dirt bag, a dog food or cat food bag, one of those buckets that cat litter comes in. Any kind of container that's about 5 gallons. And this will work. You can plant in it. Make sure it has holes in the bottom for drainage. And if you're using a feed bag or a bag, take it and roll it just like that, right? Poke some holes in the bottom. That's your container. As long as it's not paper, because paper will fall apart. So anything like that. I have this fabric pot, and I have filled it with dirt from the ground. I took a shovel, and I took shovels of dirt from the ground, and I put them in here, which means there's a bunch of junk in here. It's just junk, dirt. I also used some of that fancy soil I got out of that bag, and I just mixed it in. I used some leftover peat moss and junk, but really any dirt at all, put it in there. And then, you've got a container of dirt. This is where we start. Water it. Let it sit for a second. See how it's bubbling down? You can kind of mash it. It's like a sponge. Dirt is like a sponge. Kind of mix it together. Look at that. Perfect. What we're going to do first is we're going to take a small container. Sorry, I lied. You do need a small container. I have one of these, but you can use a paper cup. You can use anything. Paper cups, red Solo cups, a coffee cup that you got from the coffee shop. It's paper, but it will be good enough to start your seeds in. And you're going to put a chunk of that dirt in. Down below, you have some space. That dirt is in, down. You're going to take any kind of tomato seed, any kind of tomato, any kind of basil. One for tomatoes, one for basil. Dump all your seeds in. Take a little more dirt, just like that. Plastic wrap goes over the top. Put it in a window in a warm place. And then you're going to wait. That's how you start them. Plastic wrap, small container with space for air, warm place, light. Put the plastic wrap over the top so it stays damp. That's the only time you have to pay attention or use a lot of time, making sure that doesn't dry out. Then you're going to have something that looks like this. Baby tomato. Takes a few weeks. Baby tomatoes will pop up. Wait until they have a lot of extra leaves. Same with the basil. I planted these almost a month ago. So you can see they have lots of extra leaves. Then you're going to wait. Eventually, lots of extra leaves. Lots of extra leaves. So now we have everything set up. With basil, you can plant it as soon as it's got like 3 or 4 extra sets of leaves. Get it out of its small container, put it along the edge in this big container. I'll show you with these. Try to get some roots. See the roots? Roots? Oh, we've got some. I usually let them get a little bigger, but you put them around the edge. Not touching the edge, but kind of near the edge. That's our basil. That's done. You want to wait until your tomatoes are as big as possible. I've been waiting forever for these. 2-3 months. Try to get all the roots with them, right? Look at those extra dirt. Roots. Bust them up into that pot. You don't have to be nice with either of these plants. That's why they're beginner plants. Get them in there and bury the stems. See the stems? Look how rough I'm being. Oh God! Stems and roots. Make a trench and put the stem all the way down in that trench and bury it. Make sure the roots are under the dirt. Do the same with the other tomato if you have another one. It doesn't look like much, right? It seems like there's a lot of open space in here. These tomatoes will get very big. These basil will get very big, and this entire container will be packed with roots. I'm going to put a stick down the middle, all the way to the bottom of that pot. As these tomatoes grow, I'm going to use twine to tie them to this all the way up. So as they grow and get taller, they're staying here. And these little basil plants along the edge can kind of puff out of the container. This, put it in your windowsill, put it in your yard, put it in a place where it gets some light. I'm just taking extra bottom leaves off. You can or you can't. It's up to you. You can't really mess up. These are tomatoes. They're hard to break. So, put it in a window, a place where it gets light, where it stays warm. It needs to stay over 50 degrees all the time or the basil will die. So here's our beginning. And we're going to let this grow. It is low maintenance. Check it every few days by sticking your finger in the dirt. If it feels dry, give it a little water. If you want to water light till you see some water sitting on the surface, and then stop. I usually do that once a week because my tomatoes are not in full hot sun. If it's hot out or they're in the bright sun outside, do it twice a week. They will be okay. And basically, this is just going to go out as soon as it's warm enough, in a warm place, and wait. When the tomatoes get tall, use a little string and tie them to this stick. Don't be strangling them, but give them a little loop. Tie that to this stick somewhere. Any kind of stick works. Any kind of container works. Any kind of dirt works. If you have really, really crappy dirt, the tomatoes will not grow very fast. And if that happens, you can get something like seaweed fertilizer or even a little tiny container of this stuff. Really cheap. And just put it in some of the water and water with that. If you notice that your tomatoes start to grow and the ends of them are like blue or shriveled or look yucky, calmag, you can get tiny containers of this, and the magnesium and calcium in it will stop the ends of the tomatoes from rotting. But those are summer problems. This is how you start. If one of these dies, plant another one in a little container and wait until it gets just big enough and replace it. Same with the basil. That's why you only use a little handful of seeds. Save about half of your seed packet for just in case you need a second plant. This is your beginner garden. This is basil and tomatoes all in one container. That is a salad right there. Tomato, basil, mozzarella cheese, and a little oil and vinegar, and you've got delicious, right? One pot. Very easy to start. And don't be afraid to kill them. You're going to kill a lot of stuff if you're gardening. So just no stress, no worry. This is just for fun. This is the beginning.